In August 2025, a column of VBTP-MR Guarani 6x6 armored vehicles rolled into Manila's port, marking the arrival of a new chapter in the Philippine Army's modernization. Built by Iveco Defense Vehicles of Brazil, the shipment of 9 Guarani armored personnel carriers is part of a broader order for 28 vehicles signed in 2021, valued at $47 million United States dollars. To casual observers, this may appear as a modest procurement, but to defense analysts, it represents a symbolic shift in how the Philippines is redefining the role of its ground forces, from a counterinsurgency army into a mobile, island-defending, rapidly deployable force designed for the realities of the Indo-Pacific. For decades, the Philippine Army has been structured around domestic security. From the 1970s through the 2010s, it focused almost entirely on fighting communist insurgents like the New People's Army and Islamist militants in Mindanao. These campaigns consumed manpower, budget, and doctrine, leaving little room for territorial defense. The vehicles that formed its backbone, the M1-13A2 armored personnel carriers and Scorpion light tanks, were aging relics of the Cold War. It was not until the 2012 revision of the AFP Modernization Act that the Philippines officially began to pivot toward external defense. The current phase, Horizon 3, 2023-2028, seeks to build the capability to project power across the nation's archipelagic terrain. In that context, the Guarani purchase carries significance well beyond its small numbers. The Guarani is a product of Brazil's successful defense industrial partnership with Italy's Iveco. Designed in the early 2000s to replace Brazil's EE-11 Urutu, it entered service in 2012 and has since become a regional export success. Weighing 16 metric tons, powered by a 383-horsepower Iveco engine, the Guarani reaches speeds of up to 110 kilometers per hour, with a range of 600 kilometers. Its amphibious capability makes it ideal for river crossings and littoral operations, a critical feature for an archipelago of over 7,000 islands. The base model can carry 11 soldiers, and variants include infantry fighting vehicles, command posts, and mortar carriers. Its armor meets STANAG 4569 Level 3 standards, offering protection against small arms and shell splinters, while remote weapon stations allow flexible configurations from 12.7 to 30mm cannons. In comparison, the M113A2s, still in Philippine service, are slower, carry fewer troops, and offer limited protection. They are essentially upgraded Vietnam-era designs. Guarani's higher mobility and modular design make it far more suitable for joint island operations, especially alongside modern air and naval assets. For the Philippines, which has to operate across dispersed terrain, Mindanao, Palawan, Luzon, the ability to rapidly deploy and reinforce isolated garrisons is an existential requirement. What makes this deal particularly interesting is the supplier. Brazil is not a traditional defense partner of Manila. In Southeast Asia, most procurement choices tend to revolve around the United States, South Korea, Israel, or European states. Yet Brazil offered a blend of affordability, flexibility, and political neutrality that few others could match. Firstly, the Guarani's price point, roughly 1.7 million United States dollars per unit, is competitive, and Brazil extended favorable export financing through its National Development Bank. Secondly, Iveco allowed the Philippine Army to access training and partial maintenance know-how, offering a small but important degree of technological transfer. Thirdly, Brazil's non-aligned geopolitical posture minimizes diplomatic friction, something Manila increasingly values as it balances between American security commitments and the assertive presence of China. Seen through a strategic lens, the Guarani symbolizes Manila's growing desire to diversify its defense partners. It fits a broader pattern visible across the Indo-Pacific, where middle powers like the Philippines seek multi-directional cooperation to reduce dependency on a single patron. In this sense, Brazil's footprint in Southeast Asia, though modest, signals the emergence of new cross-continental defense ties. Operationally, the Guarani's deployment ties directly into the Philippine Army's evolving doctrine. Under the Joint Rapid Deployment Task Force framework, these vehicles are expected to form the mobile backbone of mixed units capable of amphibious transport and coastal maneuver. They will complement the Philippine Navy's landing craft and the Air Force's C-130 fleet, providing ground mobility once forces reach dispersed island outposts. The design's amphibious nature means Guarani can be deployed directly from a landing ship tank or a beachhead, bridging the gap between naval and ground warfare. From a strategic viewpoint, these armored vehicles may one day operate in scenarios near Palawan or the Spratly Islands, where tensions with China's maritime militia and Coast Guard continue to flare. While Guarani is not a weapon against ships, its deployment reflects a mindset change. The Philippines wants rapid, protected movement of troops across contested littorals. That is the foundation of deterrence at the lower end of the conflict spectrum: resilience and reaction speed. Across the region, Manila's decision can be read as both catch-up and experimentation. Vietnam, by contrast, has relied on heavier tracked vehicles such as the BTR-82A and MTLB, emphasizing protection and firepower over mobility. Indonesia's domestically produced ANOA 6x6, ironically inspired by Brazil's approach, has become a symbol of local industrial capability. Thailand has developed its first Win armored vehicles, prioritizing self-reliance. In this lineup, the Philippines stands out as a late entrant, but one with the potential to learn from its neighbors. The Guarani program could, if properly managed, serve as a prototype for future local production under a Philippine Defense Industry Development Initiative. Yet challenges remain formidable. Funding is tight. The entire AFP modernization budget for 2025 is around $720 million United States dollars spread across all services. Maintenance costs for imported European systems are high, and the Philippine Army has limited experience with Iveco diesel engines or advanced hydraulics. Logistics and spare parts will require consistent support contracts. Without domestic assembly or deeper technology transfer, the Guarani could remain an isolated capability, not a systemic transformation. There is also a political dimension. Brazil, under its current administration, is cultivating balanced relations with both Washington and Beijing. If tensions between China and the United States escalate further, Manila's alignment could indirectly affect its smaller defense partners. For now, however, the cooperation is practical and non-controversial. Looking ahead to 2030, the Philippine Army plans to expand its ground mobility fleet significantly. If the Guarani program proves reliable, additional orders could follow, possibly including versions equipped with a 30mm cannon or mortar systems. Integration with coastal missile batteries like the BrahMos and air support from FA-50 fighter jets could form a credible tri-service deterrence network: land mobility, sea denial, and air response. This is the vision underpinning Horizon 3, a balanced defense posture where ground, air, and naval forces reinforce each other rather than operate in silos. Beyond numbers, the Guarani deal symbolizes a mindset shift. The Philippines is no longer satisfied with being a passive recipient of surplus equipment. It is experimenting with strategic autonomy, albeit on a small scale. Each foreign partnership, be it with Korea for aircraft, India for missiles, or Brazil for armored vehicles, adds another pillar to a diversified security architecture. And in the background, the same constant remains: the challenge of deterring China without provoking it, of defending sovereignty without overextending limited resources. In this broader Indo-Pacific story, the Guarani's arrival in Manila is more than a logistics event. It is a geopolitical signal. It shows that even modest nations can adapt, learn, and diversify in an era when strategic geography demands agility. The Philippine Army's transformation is far from complete, but its new wheels from South America are already rolling it toward a different kind of battlefield, one defined by mobility, coordination, and a reawakened sense of purpose. If this experiment succeeds, Manila's cooperation with Brazil could become a blueprint for future cross-regional defense partnerships. And perhaps, one day, when Guarani units rumble across the shores of Palawan or patrol the approaches to the West Philippine Sea, they will stand not only as armored vehicles, but as proof that the Philippines has begun to take control of its own defense destiny.